Thursday, almost Friday, my friends at Prime Sports World. We're back again with another episode. This time we're bringing you the prime as we're breaking down the Chicago Bears schedule as that schedule was released today, a few hours ago. I'm David Huffman. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or not Instagram, Twitch, and the Twitter, Prime Sports World, pretty good place to hang out. Go live 6 or 7 times a week, bringing the most up-to-date content. You're looking for us on YouTube. We're Prime Sports World on YouTube. We are Prime Sports World on the Twitch. We are Prime Sports World on Facebook, and we are PSW_David on the Twitter. TJ, welcome to the show, man. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm just, got a couple more hours of work to do, but it's still gonna be there when I get off of here. It's fine.
It's fine. I worked from 8:30 this morning, and then I got off at 9 o'clock.
For a 13-hour day.
Yeah. It was a day.
That paycheck better benefit. It better show.
Yeah, it better. That's for damn sure. But yeah, let's go ahead and start. Let's start breaking down the Chicago Bears schedule. Let's take a look at it. I'll go through real quick each matchup, and then we'll talk about each one individually. So first one, we got week 1, we got San Francisco. Week 2, we go to Green Bay. Week 3, we go Houston Texans come here. The Giants and the Minnesota Vikings on the road in week 4 and 5. Washington Commanders come here in 6. We go to New England. We go to Dallas in 7 and 8. We go Miami comes here. Detroit comes here. We go to Atlanta. We go to the Jets. We play Green Bay right before our bye week. That game is in Soldiers Field. Then we have our bye week, and then after the bye week, we have Philadelphia comes here, Buffalo comes here, we go to Detroit, and then we end this season off by Minnesota Vikings coming here to face us at Soldiers Field. So what do you think about the schedule? What do you think about the breakdown of the schedule? What do you think, looking at it, what do you think, what's your overall thoughts on the schedule?
This is as friendly could get for us, basically. Still some tough opponents in there. Obviously, we have a tough division. Like division opponents always beat up on each other. I'm glad we don't have to play the Rams for like the 4th year in a row. Like that's I was so sick. I was so sick of seeing the Rams on our schedule, and I was like, why? Like what? Like honestly, why? And I'm just so glad we don't have to go through that again. I'm also tired of closing the season against Minnesota. Like, this is like, can we not play Minnesota for the last game of the season next year? Like, that's just,
Well, I mean, they've made it so every season you basically play a divisional opponent no matter what. So, I mean, it's 1 out of 3. I mean, it's good. The odds,
But we played Minnesota the last game of the season quite a few times in a row now is what I'm getting at. Some of these matchups are super interesting. Like I want to see Justin Fields versus Mac Jones. Like I'm looking forward to seeing that. I want to see Justin Fields against Zach
Wilson. I mean, we want to see. Right? Whatever's left of Daniel Jones.
Right, whatever's left of Daniel. Well, I don't think there's many options for the Giants. I mean,
unless they're going to be trading, unless they're trading for Baker Mayfield between now and then, I just don't see that happening.
I just don't see it. I want to see. I want to see how he handles seeing Tua with all the weapons that they gave Tua this offseason. Right, I want to see him battle against that. My cousin sent, like, when the first 2 games got leaked, like San Fran and Green Bay, he sent the article to our group chat. Like, it's me, him, and my older brother. And he's like, we starting off 0-2. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, San Fran, we don't know who's starting.
It's a good point. I mean, we don't know who's starting.
We don't know who's starting. Debo could potentially still be holding out. We don't know if he's still on the roster. And Green Bay and Rodgers throwing to a bunch of rookies and what's left of Randall Cobb. I'm like, dude, those games are more winnable.
Don't forget about Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins is there.
Those games are more winnable than imagined, right? Like the most people. We
don't know what San Francisco is going to look like when the season finally starts. We don't know who the quarterback is. But when you think about it, like our most difficult matchups on this schedule are all at home. Like we get San Francisco at home, we get Miami at home, we get Buffalo at home, we get the Philadelphia Eagles at home. Like the most difficult matchups on our schedule, they're all at home outside of the Dallas Cowboy matchup. But every other one, and I guess New England, depending on what you think about them, every other matchup in the schedule, we get to play the tough opponents at home. We get the Commanders at home. Like we get to go to MetLife to take on the Giants. I mean, we go to MetLife to take on the Jets. I'm not worried about playing the Jets. I don't care about playing Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. That doesn't worry anybody. Like this is actually a pretty easy schedule. If you look at it, like the most important games, like the must-win games in the schedule, we get them all at home. We get them all in Soldier Field.
Yeah. San Fran, Houston, Washington. Like, say what you want about Washington, but as long as if that front seven is constantly on the field, we have a chance to beat Washington. Again, you don't know what Tua. Although they have more weapons for Tua, he's still the question mark.
Yeah.
Right. Like Detroit, they were tough outs. They were tough outs the previous year. They were tough outs the previous. Like, and of course, Green Bay, Philly. The question mark is still Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
Buffalo. Buffalo's a Super Bowl favorite. Right?
Yeah.
And
we get to play them at home. We benefit from playing them at home. Like we don't have to worry about going to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Like going to Orchard Park and going and dealing with that madhouse that's going to be that stadium and those fans.
Bills Mafia, man. I just hope Bills Mafia don't travel.
Bills Mafia for sure travels.
I just hope they don't travel.
Like they're a fan base that definitely travels. Like look at this schedule. I mean, yeah, this is a pretty favorable schedule. I'm still we'll get into their season preview when we start doing the season's preview series. Like the Bears as a whole, I'm pretty concerned about. But when I look at the schedule, it fills me with a little bit of hope, a little bit of optimism that like maybe it's not out of the realm of possibility that Bears might be competitive this season. And by the guy I work with, this guy Chucky Vision, he's gonna love this. Like I've been smack talking the Bears like since the season ended and since the draft started free agency. He's like, man, we're going to be good next season. I'm like, man, we're not going to be good. We're going to be trash. And then like I keep saying it over and over again. And then I look at the schedule and it finally got released. And I was like, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe it will be trash. Maybe it'll be okay.
But that's the trap, right? That's the trap.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that's the trap. Like we see it. Excuse me, all the time. Like we see it all the time, especially with teams like the Cowboys, right? They suck. They're mid the previous year. They get like a second or third place schedule. They get a super favorable schedule. They win 10, 11 games. They go to the playoffs, and then when it's time to play some real opponents, they get shellacked because they weren't tested the whole season. They got a bunch of cakewalks. Now I'm not saying this is necessarily a cakewalk schedule, especially with a team currently constructed like ours.
Yeah, I mean, a wide receiver situation is still in flux. I know we drafted somebody, but I mean, he's like 25 years old and really just fast. The offensive line hasn't been nearly addressed as much as I would have liked it to be in the draft or in free agency. Like this is like we basically are rolling out the same offensive line, if not worse, than the one we had last year.
Well, Larry Borum takes over for Jason Peters, so we get younger at left tackle.
It doesn't mean we've gotten better.
The dude from Oklahoma State, Tevin Jenkins.
Tevin Jenkins should be healthy
to play right. You signed Lucas Patrick from Green Bay, so you move him over.
He probably plays guard or center.
You still got Cody White here, so it's bad. Like I don't think it's as bad as folks are, making it out to be.
It's not ideal.
I'm more concerned about the secondary. Like we're definitely starting the two rookies that we drafted this past draft. Like they are day one starters out the gate.
Yep.
Like out of the gate. So that's
no question about that.
That still calls to pause, right? It also allows some of the other members on the secondary to slide back into their natural slot. So you're not asking a nickel corner who's supposed to be a nickel or slot corner to go guard the number 2 guy. You can just go back to being a nickel corner now that we got Kyler Gordon. Right?
And I do like Kyler Gordon. I think he's going to be a good player, but asking a lot to have him be, the step up in the first year and be the basically the other corner on this roster right now.
Well, that's
how's that? Outside of Jalen Johnson. They still have Duke Shelley, who had a good rookie season. or whatever his situation is.
How's that
Jaquan
any
Brisker, I
different than
like.
Jalen Johnson? Like
Well, I mean, we had Jalen Johnson. We still had Kyle Fuller. And I believe there was one other corner we had in the roster at the time, and Jalen Johnson was able to kind of get acclimated a little bit more. I'm concerned about the secondary too. Like I think Kyler Gordon is probably going to play a lot of. We also have Thomas Graham the Jr. too on this roster too. They played pretty damn good at the end of the season last year.
So he should. The one thing I like about this now, like the coaching staff, is the Luke Getsy, who's the OC. He said he's going to tailor this offense to fit the guys we have, as opposed to making the guys we have fit what he wants to do.
Well, I mean, that should be the way everyone handles it, right?
But that's where Nagy kind of failed, and I kind of get why, because again, Nagy spent the last 2 seasons really coaching for his job, and thusly, which is why he's not here anymore. But if after week 4, this is my question to you, after week 4, that's a month into the season, the Bears' record will be what? What do you think the Bears' record will be after 4 games?
2-2.
2-2? I like it.
Yeah, I think whatever's happened with San Francisco, I think they're going to figure it out. I don't know, I think we lose for sure at Green Bay and Lambeau. There's no way we win that game. We beat Houston and we beat the Giants.
Okay.
And so, when we go through the first 4 games, I got them at 2-2. I think they can beat the Giants. And this first game in Soldier Field, all the fans are turning to San Francisco. We don't really know what their offense is going to look like. Their secondary is still not great. I know they got Curious Ward, but otherwise, come on. This is a team that could be gotten. They could be 3-1 in the first.
They could be 3-1 after the first 4 games. All right,
the only game that we for sure can't win is that Lambeau game. Like no way, 0 chance.
I also think we go to Minnesota and just get ran out. I think we get ran out the stadium. I think Minnesota offensively is just too good for us to keep up with.
If we could figure this out, I know the weapons aren't exactly ideal. Darnell Mooney, Byron Pringle is still the number 2, depending on what his suspension situation ends up being. I guess the NFL doesn't really care that I guess he was doing donuts in the car with his child in there on a suspended license. The NFL doesn't care. Nobody seems to be talking about this at all. So I guess he's just going to be fine.
I kind of feel like their notion of that is like, as long as no one was hurt.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Right, which is terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's still bad. We're not saying because no one got hurt, he should have been. He's okay to do what he did. Like, no, we're not saying that at all.
But the NFL might be saying that.
But we are not. I think we go up to Minnesota. I just think offensively we just can't keep up, and I think we just put that defense out there that's just too many times. I think Dalvin Cook just runs rough shot like he tends to do.
Hakeem Nicks is no longer on this team, and they haven't really replaced him either. So,
No, and they also let Big Eddie Goldman just
and they didn't replace him either. So, this is a defense that could be gotten quite. And if they trade Robert Quinn too, which I don't know if they are at this point. I feel like something would have happened by now if they were going to do it. But he's expressed his concern that maybe Robert Quinn wants to go play somewhere where he's going to have a chance to win something. But yeah, Minnesota seems like a bad matchup for us. Moving on to the command.
I fully expect the Robert Quinn deal, if it does happen, I fully expect that to be a deadline move. Like that's definitely going to be a deadline / trade capital move, especially depending on I forgot when the trade deadline usually is.
It's somewhere in week 7, I think.
So if the Bears are out of contention by that point,
maybe they might not be,
but also still in the realm of possible. I could still see that, I don't know who he would go to, right? I don't know who the top contenders really don't have the draft capital that you're looking for, because in the words of Les Snead, F them picks. But moving on to the Commanders. Sorry, go ahead.
Moving on to the Washington Commanders, we get them at Soldiers Field. Carson Wentz, their situation with their weapons on the outside. I feel like this is a game the Bears can absolutely win, especially since I still don't really believe in the secondary that Washington's going to be trotting out there. I know they got the kid from Cincinnati. He was on Bengal a few years ago. Now he's on the Washington football team or Commanders, whatever they want to call themselves now. I think the Bears can win this game. I think they can legitimate win.
I'm just gonna say if Carson Wentz loses to this Bears team, stick a fork in him.
I think I think this is a make or break season for him.
I think if Carson Wentz loses to this Bears team, stick a fork in him. I mean,
they might as well just roll out. They might as well roll out Sam Howell, even though he's never had steak before.
Like, don't even no. I'm like, what are you 5? Like, bro, you a grown ass man. Go to a steakhouse, get it medium well, and chow down with a baked potato.
I don't even like steak, but yet I've had a million steaks in my life.
Like, come on.
And don't come at me in the comment section. I just prefer chicken. Okay, I just prefer to eat chicken. I don't like having to chew steak for like 5,000 years before I can swallow it. I just don't. All right.
But don't get it well done, right? You get it. I get it medium well. Medium well.
I get my medium rare.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. To each their own.
I like having a little bit of pink in there.
To each their own. All right, I get it.
Anyways, before we get way sidetracked here, I think the Bears could beat this Washington team. Washington, this is not a team that gives me the fear. It's not like some of these other teams that give me the quote unquote fear. I'll take the Bears to win this game.
We also got to keep in mind Chase Young is coming off an ACL injury, so he's not gonna be.
I imagine he'll be back by this point, but we don't really. I mean, we don't know.
Logan Thomas should also be back by now.
Yep.
Because he also tore his ACL. So Washington's. I mean, and don't get me football aside, Washington has a lot of issues going on. They still have a federal investigation to deal with, right? People literally have forgot. No, the Washington Commanders organization. They are under federal investigation for a bunch of stuff. It is not rosy in the nation's capital right now for them. It is very bad. New England. This is another winnable game, right? Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Bill Belichick is, look.
Oh, they're coming off arguably the worst draft of the year. Like of all the teams that made picks this year, they had the worst draft. They reached that Cole Strange pick was just head scratching as hell. I remember when me and Izzy were watching we were doing the cover of the draft live, and Cole Strange, he's the only player that I didn't have a graphic for, I didn't have a picture of, I didn't have a video of. I pulled a lot of videos and a lot of pictures, and he was nowhere on my radar. He was the 77th rated player. They took him at 25.
Again, this is one of those picks where it's if it works out, Bill Belichick's a genius. We can't question it. If it doesn't work out, it's Bill. What the hell are you doing? But no one's going to question it because it's Bill Belichick, right? He's gotten away.
The Bailey Zapp pick makes literally 0 sense whatsoever.
0 cents. I get it. It's Bill Belichick. He walks over there with the cutoff hoodie on, looking like Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. The thing that we have to the thing that we have to remember that Bill Belichick's life without Tom Brady isn't as great as people think it is.
No,
right?
And the only reason they had to take Cole Strange, they took it because they just traded away Shaq Mason. Shaq Mason for literally no reason whatsoever. The guy was under contract. They basically gave him away for literally nothing to the Buccaneers.
And we're going into week 8. We go to Dallas. That's a winnable game. We don't know what Zeke Elliott we're gonna get. We don't know what offensive line we're gonna get.
We also don't know what this offense is gonna look like without Amari Cooper on this team. Everybody wants to just say that everybody's gonna step up. You have Cedric Wilson.
That's easier said than done.
That's Cedric Wilson.
Cedric Wilson's gone.
No, what's his name?
CeeDee Lamb.
Wow. No, not CeeDee Lamb. The dude they signed who had torn his ACL last game of the season. Man. Michael Gallup.
Oh, Michael Gallup.
We don't even know if he's going to be healthy enough by this time. He tore his ACL pretty late into the season. We don't know what this offense is going to look like with CeeDee Lamb as the top receiver on this attack. I think it's going to be interesting. Dallas this is definitely a winnable game. We don't really know. Their defense actually was pretty bad last season. Outside of those Trayvon Diggs interceptions that he took to the house, when he got burnt a lot. And Parsons, was the best rookie. Defensive, he might have been the best rookie by far, but we don't know what he's going to look like season number 2. People are going to scheme around him. People are going to figure him out. And they lost Randy Gregory and didn't really replace him with anybody either.
David, my rule, right? Anybody can have one good season.
Yeah,
do it again.
And they lost Collins on the right tackle, and they're going to try to play him. Yeah, they're going to try to replace him with a rookie who has all kinds of technique problems. That's a game we could absolutely win.
And we already know that. I get it. The quarterback is quote unquote the most important position in football, but the success that we're so used to Dallas having was because of that vaunted offensive line, right?
Yeah.
It was the cogs up front that allowed DeMarco Murray and then Zeke Elliott to eat 5-6 yards of carry before they even touched.
That offensive line had like 4 Hall of Famers on it.
4 Hall of Famers. Say what you want. Say what you want about Tyron Smith. When he hangs it up, he's been beat the. When he's been beat the hell
he's going to the Hall of Fame.
When Tyron Smith decides to retire, he's going to the Hall of Fame. When Zach Morton retires, he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? That's going to happen. So
Leo Collins could potentially find himself in the Hall of Fame too. I mean, he's been an elite right tackle for a long time.
So after 8 weeks, we're looking at.
I'm gonna be realist. I'm gonna have us lose this Dallas game. I'm gonna have us beat New England. I'm gonna have us beat the Commanders. We'll lose to Minnesota. Okay. We're going to beat the Giants. We're beating the Texans. We're going to beat Green Bay. You know what? I'm actually going to change. We're going to beat San Francisco too. So I think we're 5-3 going into that Miami game, which is a game I think we're going to lose. I expect Miami to be retooled. I expect Tua to take a step forward, even though there has been some videos of Tua wildly underthrowing Tyreek Hill. But it's practice stuff, and I don't really care about it. It's the same.
I don't either. But okay. So I think we beat San Francisco. I think we lose to Green Bay because Green Bay up in Green Bay. That's just been a house of horrors for us. Last time we won there was Thanksgiving, 10 years ago. I'm not even joking. The last time we won in Green Bay, it's been a long time since the Bears have won in Green Bay. It's been a really long time. I think we beat Houston. We can beat the. I'm with you. We beat the Giant Houston and the Giants. I think we lose to Minnesota. We beat Washington, and I think week 7, week 8, I think that's a split. Whichever game we lose, I think we lose to New England because that's also a tough place to play at. But we beat Dallas.
Okay, well, we're just splitting it. But yeah, I think Miami gets us. I think that we fall to 5-4, and then we go on a little bit of a winning streak here. I think we beat Detroit in Soldier Field. I think we beat Atlanta in Atlanta. I think we beat the Jets in Reese Rutherford, New Jersey. Even though they had a fantastic draft. They still have a team that has a full holes, and they still have a major question mark with Zach Wilson. People want to talk about the Justin Field coverage. Zach Wilson didn't exactly kill it last season. I mean, he basically got outplayed by the guy with the most generic name ever,
Mike White.
Yeah, Mike White came in and lit up the place. Yeah, I think we win 3 games in a row. I think we beat Detroit, we beat Atlanta, we beat the Jets, moving up to 8-4, 8-4.
I don't hate that. It's hard for me to find a way around that. Now, here's the kicker: do we beat Green? Does Justin Fields get his first win against the Green Bay Packers?
No, he doesn't. Unfortunately,
so we're getting swept by Aaron Rodgers again.
Yeah, I mean, he does own us.
I don't hate it. It's kind of hard for me to see,
And I think, after coming out of the bye week, I think we come through a little bit of a rough stretch here. I think Philadelphia probably has found their groove at this point. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, that running attack. I think we lose that game, and I think we lose to Buffalo. Well, I think we for sure lose to Buffalo.
For sure.
Buffalo, we might get blown out of the building by Buffalo.
I still think, as much as it's that Philly game, I think that's definitely a head scratcher because I get it. You traded for AJ Brown, but I still don't think. And Philly fans cannot lie to themselves. I do not believe they are as sold on Jalen Hurts as they're talking like that.
No, of course not.
I went to high school with a dude. He's an Eagles fan. He's their opponents. The schedule wasn't released. Just who they play. He's I see 16-1. I'm nigga, according to who? According to who? He's me. Come on, man.
They should have. They should have a pretty dynamic defense. They added some pieces that should make their defense pretty dynamic. And adding J.J. Brown to an offense that has, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, who are good players. Dallas Goedert might be a top 5 tight end in the entire league. And this is an offensive line that should be better next season. Jordan Miliata is coming back from his injury. They added, Jordan Davis in the draft. They still have some questions in the secondary, obviously, but this is a team that should be.
And Jordan Davis is going to take over for he's going to take over that Fletcher Cox role where like you don't need like you don't need.
I imagine they'll move Javon Hargrave to one of the edge positions and they'll run Jordan Davis at their right tackle. I don't know.
And they brought Derek Barnett back, so like their front four can be formidable. Their front four is definitely going to be tough.
Yeah. Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Derek Barnett. I'm not even including Jordan Davis in there.
Right.
And they have Josh Sweat, who's still on this team too. Like, so that's pretty solid. And then they got Hassan Reddick, who they got a steal in free agency, and the Kobe Dean, who's a rookie net, who they kind of stole him in the third round.
He's playing with a huge chip on his shoulder because he fell to the third round.
Yeah, I mean, I look for Philadelphia to be a pretty good team this year, actually.
Yeah.
And
they do, and I'm with you. Like Buffalo, we're not. Yeah, those. Oh, and before I just thought about it. Shout out to current Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback Mitch Trubisky. He became a dad today.
Oh, there we go. On the day that the James Harden unraveled on national television, we got Mitchell Trubisky became a dad today. That's very exciting.
Trubisky became a dad today. So shout out Mitch. Welcome to fatherhood. Happy for you and your lovely wife. What's the baby's name? Hudson David. He had a baby boy. Welcome to fatherhood. But yeah, we lose to Buffalo. I think Josh Allen finally gets that elusive MVP that's been evading him the last 2 years.
So that brings us to the Bears on both of our accounts. It sounds like 8-7 going into the final 2 weeks of the season, where they go to Detroit and Minnesota comes here. Both extremely winnable games. Yes. Do we think we win both of them and actually become like a team that could potentially be in the running for a playoff speed at 11-7? This honestly feels like we're just being homers here big time. But this is actually a pretty favorable schedule. I actually think that the Bears can win both these games. I will predict that they'll lose to Detroit and they'll beat Minnesota, or the other way around. They'll lose to Detroit and then they'll beat Minnesota. And they'll end the season at 9-8. And that's probably not, or 10-8. Yeah, 10-8. That's probably not going to be good, or 10-9-8. That's probably not going to be good enough to be a playoff spot in the NFC, but it should be enough to be optimistic with the future of the Bears. But it does feel like we're being a little bit of homers here because there are, like that Miami game, there are a lot of games I think could go either way on their schedule, but they have a very favorable schedule. What do you think that's going to happen in the last two games?
Oh man, I think it definitely depends on, especially the Minnesota game. I think Minnesota's definitely going to be in play for a playoff spot. So
I agree with you.
The odds, the only way I see Minnesota not playing Kirk Cousins, not playing Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, is if whatever seed they get is solid. They are locked in. No matter if they win or lose, they are in that spot.
Or if their season has gone the other way. Which I mean, Minnesota has a very easy schedule too. I mean, so
they do. Detroit, I look at them as in the same boat as the Bears, right? Like you're not going to be competitive. You just want to build on for the years to come.
Yeah. I mean, this has got to be a season where we see growth out of like our secondary. We got to see growth out of Justin Fields. We got to see growth out of this offensive line. Like we have to see growth, and as long as we continue to see growth, this is exactly what we talked about when we did like the Jacksonville Jaguars season preview or the Jets season preview, or when we eventually do those teams previews again this year. Like all you really want to see out of those teams, like, is continued development from season to season, because even if you make the playoffs, you're not really a Super Bowl contender unless things go off the rails for every other team in the NFC. Like the Bears are going to need, if they're going to go to the Super Bowl, they need all sorts of help. But Chucky Vision, if you're watching, which I don't know you are because you probably are sleeping already, I actually think the Bears have a shot to be actually decent this season, and I've been smack talking them basically since the season ended. And I am eating my words, and I think this schedule is as favorable as the Bears could have drawn.
Well, you went 6-11 last season with 3 different quarterbacks playing. One 1,000-yard receiver. Did any of our running backs hit 1,000 yards?
I think Montgomery might have been a 1,000-yard receiver, or real close to it.
You mean rushing?
Yeah, is that what I said?
You said receiving.
Yeah, Dave Montgomery was probably real close to being a 1,000-yard rusher, if he didn't hit it, because I know he missed some time due to injury. But
And so, Robert Quinn had the year of his, had the season of his career. He had no, he did not. He had 849.
Yeah, but if he plays 4 more games, he hits it easily.
He hits 1,000 yards easy. Because he definitely averaged 3.8 a carry, so I'm just rounding it up to 4. 6-11 this past season. If we go 8-9, 9-8, that's a win. That's a 2-win improvement. You're in a single digit loss column, right? Like you didn't hit double digit losses. And that's definitely a lot to build on going into next season, because you got to keep in mind we are going to have like $150 million worth of cap space next season.
So, the sky's the limit when it comes to the Chicago Bears. We're going to do a more in-depth show when it comes to every team schedule tomorrow morning or maybe Saturday. I haven't really decided what we're going to be doing yet tomorrow. But thank you very much for joining us for the Chicago Bears schedule breakdown. As we talked about what we looked for in the Chicago Bears, because, football season is almost back, man. It's almost time to get excited about football season again. But I've been David Hupp, and right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. If you want to continue checking out Pride Sports World at all the places, we are on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and we are on Twitch on all the places. So continue checking us out. I've been David Hupp, and right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat.
Yeah, and we could calm down on it a little bit, please.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, man, it was like a toaster oven in my office, dude. It's like brutal. But yeah, we'll see you guys all tomorrow. You guys all have a good rest of your day. Take it easy and be safe. Peace out.